Hello friend and welcome back to my channel, Blue Nose Trading. My name is Tori Solis and today I'm going to be testing Snowy Plum from Coyote Clay and Color. I'll be testing this glaze on 7 different clay body test tiles as well as on a textured white stoneware mug. This is a cone 5/6 glaze that's listed as lead-free, non-toxic, and dinnerware safe by the manufacturer. Before I open this glaze, I want to make sure that it is mixed extremely well. I start by giving the jar a good shake while making sure to keep my thumbs on the lid so I don't accidentally end up with a face covered in glaze. After the good shake, I'll go into the jar with an egg beater attached to my drill to make sure this glaze is completely mixed up. This glaze had a good deal of clumping up and hard panning at the bottom, which is why it's so important to make sure you're mixing thoroughly. When you have materials that are clumped up like this, your glaze is not fully mixed and may not perform as expected. All the minerals in this jar need to be evenly distributed throughout the glaze, so we will keep mixing until we have an even consistency without any lumps. I made a bit of a mess with this one, but it happens, so we're going to clean up and press forward. This jar took a good bit of mixing, and before I call it done, I'm going to feel around with the beater to make sure there are no more clumps or hardened materials at the bottom of the jar. I'm going to be brushing this glaze onto my test tiles. I brush my test tiles in 1, 2, and 3 coats with the thickest coat at the top of the tile. I fire my tiles hanging on a high alumina rod to see how the glaze will perform on a vertical surface. In this way, I'm testing for running. There is a note on the glaze manufacturer's website to take precautions against running with this particular glaze. With the thickest coat of glaze at the top of the tile, if a glaze is going to run, it's got somewhere to go. I like to test glazes on a lot of different clay bodies to get a general idea of how a glaze is going to behave on different colors and surfaces. Everyone out there is working with some different kind of clay body, and maybe one of these tiles can help you guess at what might happen for you. As always, I strongly recommend that you make your own test tiles and fire them in your own kiln. Fire your tiles exactly how you would file your regular work. There are a lot of different factors that go into how a glaze is going to perform. The best way to see how a glaze is going to work for you in your kiln, on your clay, and with your application style is to do your own testing. Looking at the textured white stoneware mug, this glaze has made a lovely copper red reduction, but was fired in an electric oxidation kiln, which is a tricky bit of business, so I can honestly say that I'm impressed. There's a streaked snowy effect all throughout this glaze that I find quite lovely. There's a slight bit of breaking over the textured surfaces, and the running wasn't too bad at 2 coats. I do see some movement in areas around the handle where the application was a bit thicker, but this glaze did not run off the pot. On my white stoneware tile, we're seeing that lovely red with cool toned white streaks and a good bit of movement on the tile. These were fired vertically and hanging, so they had the greatest opportunity to run if they wanted. The B-mix tile is telling much of the same story, and this glaze seems to give a consistent result of a beautiful copper reduction red on these lighter toned stoneware bodies. The red coloring is vibrant on the Laguna Frost porcelain tile. There is a bit of movement, but the glaze did stay on the tile. I would still use caution with application. I think if you got this glaze too thick, you could potentially run into some problems. Looking at my speckled body, the color is still coming through strong. You can still see the speckles, but they kind of get lost in the sauce of all the different things this glaze has going on in it already. This tile got stuck to another one in the firing and I had to break it off, but that was my fault for putting them too close together and not necessarily anything to do with the glaze itself. The Laguna speckled buff tile, which was the one that my other speckled tile got stuck to, has great coloration. I especially like how this tile shows the effect of breaking over the deeper texture. There is a bit of movement on this tile as well, but it's a feature, not a flaw. This glaze looks nice on red stoneware as well. The red coloration is a bit darker, and the white seems to be a bit more prominent against the backdrop of a darker clay body. This glaze also looks great on Laguna B3 Black. The red is much deeper and the white is there, but there's also some brown tones in the mix as well. I would mostly just ignore the flaw on the left side. That was where another instance of me putting things too close together and them touching. But it might be worth consideration that this glaze may expand a bit more than others during firing, so maybe give it a little extra space from other pieces of work in your kiln just to be safe. I think the random green spot on this tile could be from another piece spitting in the kiln, but usually my tiles face the unglazed backside of another tile, so maybe it's not that. It could be that I messed up and cross-contaminated this tile at some point, or it could also be a bit of copper that didn't reduce in the glaze. It's hard to say for sure and is worth retesting. All around this glaze is a fantastic copper red reduction that you can achieve in your electric kiln. This glaze consistently has cool toned white streaks throughout the matrix, breaks well over texture, and has a bit of fluid movement. I would encourage you to do your own testing to get a good feel for the amount of fluidity that you're going to get with different levels of thickness on your work. I could see this glaze running and potentially causing problems if you had too thick of an application. I also think that it's worth considering that this glaze may expand a bit more than others you work with during the firing and should be given a little extra space between pieces in the kiln. Overall, this is a beautiful glaze with lots of potential to create great pieces of work. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed learning more about this glaze and can make use of this information in your own studio. If you'd like to help support my channel so I can get more glazes to test for you, consider becoming a member of my channel right here on YouTube. If you'd like to see all the ceramics I currently have available for sale, visit my website, bluenosetrading.com. If you just want to stick around for more art videos, you can subscribe to this channel, Blue Nose Trading. Thank you so much for being here until the end of the video. Remember that you have great ideas that are worth exploring, drink enough water, and I will see y'all in the next video.